What's up, SVSers? We are back with another SVS Audiophile Happy Hour. Welcome, as always, to my two colleagues this time. Our respected Ed Mullen has taken a vacation. I imagine he's doing something very manly right now, but he will not be joining us tonight. But that's okay. I have over here to my right, Larry. Larry, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, sir. It's good to see you again and everybody else that is on here. It's exciting to do these as much as we do.
I see you're on the road there. Do you care to let us know where you're broadcasting from?
I am down in Austin. I've been back on the road doing some store trainings and meetings and stuff, and went down to San Antonio for a day or two, and then Austin, and kind of working my way back up north.
That looks like a very glamorous Fairfield Inn room, unless I missed my guess.
Very glamorous Hilton Garden.
That's a Ritz-Carlton. Yeah. The legendary Bjorn's AV. That's where Larry, if you saw our teaser yesterday where he was at, they have a killer home theater set up for SBS there. So get to Bjorn's in San Antonio if you can. And of course, I have Gary Yakubian, our president. Gary, how are you this evening?
Couldn't be happier to be with the SVS community. Again, highlight of my week, and this is totally the highlight of my day, where we've been on. Nick and Larry can testify. We've been on Zooms literally, and I personally have been on Zooms literally wall to wall. And this is the one I really have been looking forward to. So hey to everybody.
Yes, welcome. And I see lots of different places. Ohio, repping the hometown. California, lots of people coming in from all over. So thank you. If this is your first Audiophile Happy Hour, we have 4 awesome giveaways that we'll do throughout the evening. They are just done at random. I'll call out a name, and then we have somebody working behind the scenes who will get your contact info, ship them out. So just leave a comment.
One comment gets you an entry, and a million comments, you still only have one entry. So
there you go.
Word to the wise.
That's the disclaimer. And for those 4 giveaways, Larry, what do we have in store tonight?
Well, they are fantastic as always. We're going to start off with a pair of Prime Elevation speakers, then a SB-2000 Pro Subwoofer. Follow that up with a pair of Prime wireless powered bookshelf speakers. And then the last one of the night is an SB-2000 Pro with a SoundPath Subwoofer Cable. So we've got a whole setup for you ready to go out the door.
Very nice. Great prizes tonight. And we also have an awesome special guest. His name's DJ Briggs. He is the host of the Brightside Home Theater Podcast. And if you haven't checked that out, it's all about passion for home theater and audio and everything of that kind of converging together. And it's a great show. Larry and I have actually been on it before, but I'll save some of the questions and hype for that when we bring DJ out here in a little bit. So, as we normally do, I would like to go around and talk about what we've been listening to. But there was a recent album anniversary that I think was a pretty big one. And Gary, I know I put you on the spot sometimes, so I'm going to do it again. And I wanted to ask about just your thoughts on the album OK Computer by Radiohead, celebrating 25 years this month. And any thoughts you had about that. It was really a monumentous album there.
You gave me no warning on this. But I will say that that album was absolutely a turning point. I would say it was the album that took "quote unquote" alternative and brought it into the mainstream. What's possible? Radiohead had made a couple of good albums before that, but nothing that was a game changer. Then this one came out, and it's a monument. It's absolutely amazing. And after that, they kept raising the bar. I think they're one of the really great bands of literally all time, and that album was kind of the game changer for them. So 25th, you're making me feel very old, I'll tell you that. I didn't realize it had been that long.
Oh, me too. And everything I read about just the 25th anniversary and sort of looking at it from the spectrum of now is like just how politically conscious and accurate it was in terms of some of the content that they covered in their songs and sort of painting a picture of what the future was going to look like. It's a very deep album as far as the music and what you can read into it. So, if you haven't listened to it start to finish in a long time, I would encourage you to. There's a lot of messages in there that I think ring true now more than ever. So just a very important album, I would say, as well as musically, just amazing.
It was mixed so well. If you ever get a chance to see them in concert, take that opportunity. I know that they weren't doing stuff for a while, as a lot of bands were, but they've been doing a lot of stuff online and been getting back out there too. So it's really exciting to see them get back out there.
It's funny you say that, Larry. I totally agree with you. You know, one of the strengths of Radiohead, and this is true of the Beatles too, is that they have the Beatles had George Martin, who famously was called the fifth Beatle, because he was just an incredibly innovative producer. And Radiohead has this guy Nigel Godrich, who is at that level, I think, and I think that that album, the one before it, the Bends, but then especially Kid A and Amnesiac, that he was a hugely important part, and their music is mixed and recorded just very pristinely, and it sounds wonderful on my SVS based 2-channel system.
Wow,
but pitching SVS.
Very subtle there. Well, as we typically do, I would like to talk about what I've been tuning into recently. I did get a chance to see Top Gun in the theater, and I will say when it comes out, it's going to have quite a bit of low frequency effect demo material, I would say. Some of those jet engines there, they really can work the low end, so I'm excited for that. Overall, I was disappointed they didn't have Take My Breath Away. That was my biggest, fault.
But we got Lady Gaga, dude.
Yeah, I suppose. But all in all, it was very entertaining and a surprisingly good date movie. I took my wife, so all those things considered, it was a win. Then I've also been tuning into Westworld. If you haven't seen that, one of the HBO series, I thought this season much better, moving a lot faster than last year's. Some good demo content in there as well. And also Kendrick Lamar, based on your recommendation there, Larry.
Do you like it?
When I've been exercising, yeah. There are some very profane songs, but in general, like I find, his rapid lyricism to be, what I prefer in terms of hip hop. So loved it across the board.
Good.
And Larry, I'll kick it to you. You've been on the road here. What have you been tuning into?
Man, I think as everybody, we've been doing Stranger Things, and I got finish that off, and I refuse to talk about spoilers or anything like that.
Yeah, don't spoil it. I haven't gotten through it yet.
It was really great, and that might even be part of the movie minute tonight, I think. We'll talk about some of the things they've done there. And I went back, and I've been starting to watch it again from the beginning. And the way, if you go back and watch episode 1, I'm just going to tell you, go watch episode 1, and the way they've connected it all with some dialogue, I thought was pretty awesome. Westworld, as you have, Nick, all the NBA free agency stuff and lack of movement by the Mavs. But I went to my first concert in years, the couple days after our last happy hour. I'm still juiced from that show. So looking forward to that. They're going to release it. Spam Flicker Stick, as you guys have all heard me talk about. They're going to release it digitally, and I cannot wait to get my hands on that too, because my face will be all over it. We were right up against the stage. So it's pretty awesome.
And so, Gary, what interesting recommendations do you have? Always.
So I've been totally on the road, so I haven't really done much in the home theater, but I have a music recommendation, which I've come around to. It grew on me with time. I don't remember if I even mentioned it in the last show, but the same day that Kendrick's album was released, the album by The Smile, which is actually, interestingly, Nick, the two, I think, most important members of Radiohead, Tom York, the singer, and Johnny Greenwood, who is this incredibly innovative, I don't know what to call him. He plays guitar, he does electronics and stuff like that. It's really cool. And then a drummer I don't know, but who's good. And so this album, The Smile, is their first album, and it has really grown on me. You kind of, in my opinion, you got to listen to it 2 or 3 times, or before it starts to really score points. And then the other thing I've been watching in the theater with my wife since we got back, because I've been on the road a lot, is Larry, have you heard of this show? It's called Tehran. It's on Apple TV Plus. They're on season 2 now, and it's about this. It's an Israeli show about an Israeli spy in Iran, and it's pretty freaking exciting. So I'm enjoying that, and it's mixed very well. So it's good to watch in a home theater.
Have to check that out. Have not heard of that one. Always coming with the deep tracks there, Gary. I feel like
I think it's really good, and I don't even know how I stumbled on it, but it's really good, and it's got good production values. So I can recommend that one.
All right. Well, before we talk about some of our upcoming events, I got a layup question for you here, Gary. And I promise this isn't a plant, but here you go. It's on the screen now. I heard your HDMI cords are a smashing success. Are you surprised at the demand for them? Very seldom.
No, I'm not surprised. I'm totally shocked and floored. I was, and we've already sold out of a couple of lengths. I'm just absolutely dumbfounded at how successful it is, and I'm really happy about it because I think it, and the same thing with the XLR cable. Which I'm really happy about it because it's a way for people to engage with us, and it's not some super expensive, subwoofer or speakers, but also it's a statement that people trust us. We said this is 2.1A compliant. It's unimpeachable build quality and design standards, which it is. But I felt like, our gang, the community, the folks that are making all these comments right now, they believe in us, and it made me feel very happy. And I hope everybody's enjoying it. I've already gotten multiple emails from customers who are giving us great, positives on these.
Yeah. So we promised we would.
I was floored. I really didn't think an HDMI cable was something you would go to SVS for. But yeah, apparently I was wrong.
We wouldn't geek out on HDMI technology for this broadcast. But I thought that we should have at least
about deep color and HDR and all that stuff.
Since the question was asked, we've decided to pose it. But you both mentioned
that was a chill question, but I appreciate it anyway.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
So we have some events. I know you both have been on the road recently, but we have some big events that our team is going to be at here coming down in the next month or so, and even beyond that. So one that's really big. They're one of our important partners based in the Southeast, Raleigh, and what's the other market I'm missing in North Carolina?
Well, Raleigh is relatively near Wilmington, Research Triangle, and not too near far, Greensboro. It's not too close to Charlotte, but Raleigh's a really great place. And North Carolina's an important market. But Audio Advice is a legendary retailer in North Carolina. They've been around a really long time. I've known those guys. Leon Shaw, the founder, more than 20 years, really long, probably close to 30 years. So it's really cool that they decided to do an audio consumer.
Is Gary's audio? Gary, I think you're having audio issues. It's getting just a little crackly and cut off there.
I thought it was my hotel Wi-Fi, but yeah, I think where he was going is that we've got a partner in North Carolina called Audio Advice, and Nick and I have done some broadcasts with them over the last couple of years, and they're a new partner for us because we haven't had a chance to get out there and see them personally over the last few years. But they're doing a show in downtown Raleigh, and we're going to be a part of it. Be a lot of audio manufacturers there. And we're going to set up a few different systems. So if you get a chance to come hang out with, it's going to be a big
I have the information on those. And actually, Audio Advice, what they're trying to do is create basically Axpona of the, on the East Coast or close to the East as possible. Like they've got sort of a different approach to it. It's not really going to be a 2-channel hi-fi show. It's going to have elements of that, but there's going to be a lot of great home theater demonstrations as well. And SVS will be.
And the thing is, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, much better.
Am I breaking up? Okay, good. I know what happened. I switched to just look at the schedule of events, and that was apparently a mistake with this platform. But what I was going to say is I believe they're inviting people even that they're not dealers of, so that they can have a real audio show. So I'm very excited about this one.
Yeah, so it's going to be August 19th through the 21st at the Sheraton Raleigh Hotel. SVS will be there in force. We're going to have 2 hotel rooms, one with a 5.2.2 system, your 5 channels of surround sound, dual subwoofers, and Prime Elevation for height effects. And that will have dual SB-2000 subwoofers in it. Then we'll have a 2-channel room with some surprises that you can learn about when you get there.
The worst kept surprise in the industry, but okay.
That's okay. But, you got to keep some intrigue. And then we're also partnering with JVC, and they're going to be showing their latest state-of-the-art projector. And that's where we're going to have an even bigger system with some Ultra speakers, some Prime Pinnacles up front, and dual SB-16 Ultra subwoofers in that setup. So you'll be able to get 2 multi-channel demonstrations with SVS, some 2-channel action as well. And then, like I said, go to their website. It's audioadvice.com, and then you can just see their big event listing on their homepage for the live event here coming up. Again, August 19th through the 21st in Raleigh at the Raleigh Sheraton. So you want to make it out, it's going to be quite the spectacle with SVS making some noise there. So it'll be a lot of fun. I highly encourage you to check it out if you're in the area. And then we have some other events coming up as well. I don't know how far out in the calendar.
I mean, I think what we can say, I was just thinking about this, to throw a bunch of dates at people probably is boring, but I mean, I think we can at least say the events that are coming up, because we're doing the New York Audio Show, which is in September. We're doing for our friends in the UK, we're doing the UK Audio Show at Ascot. We're doing trying to go through my calendar because I don't want to switch apps. I'll get in trouble. We are doing our first full-on exhibit hall showing at CEDIA, which is the big custom installation show. I don't know how many people that are listening go to CEDIA, but I'm pretty excited about that. And I think Nick, both you and Larry are going, right? So we're all going.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's in my backyard, so I'll definitely be there.
Oh, of course you're going. We're all sleeping at Larry's house, I think, for CEDIA.
Sweet. And then we'll have a couple other dealer shows that we'll announce the specific dates. One in Minnesota and another in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So those will be some big events.
We can say Nebraska Furniture Mart in Dallas, and we can say Halston. I think, is it Halston Studios or Halston Audio in Minneapolis? Yeah. Halston Entertainment, that's right, Minnesota. In Minneapolis. So what's really fun for me is that we're finally going places and sharing great demos with people in an actual physical space. I think we're going to keep doing these happy hours because we love doing them, but now we're going to be able to actually hang with our peeps, hang with our friends and our community, and share demos and have a great time in the same physical place.
And maybe do some happy hours from the road. I think we've done it at Home Entertainment Show. We did it at Expona, so we'll keep that moving too. I love those remotes.
Yes, Jay Lozano, the Colony NFM.
That's right.
I'm watching
all right, our biggest one ever. It'll be fun.
We are due for a giveaway, and then we're going to bring out our special guest. So first giveaway, as Larry mentioned, was a pair of Prime Elevation speakers. And the winner of those Elevation speakers is Louis Dolgoff. Louis Dolgoff, or Louis Dolgoff. Yeah. Congratulations. Our man Vince will get your information. We'll get those shipped out tomorrow. So congrats on those new height effect speakers or surrounds or whatever you want to use them for. All right. As I was mentioning, we have an awesome guest today. Very high energy, very insightful about all things home theater and home entertainment. His name is DJ Briggs. He hosts the very popular Brightside Home Theater Podcast. He's also just a phenomenal community builder as far as this whole AV culture goes. So I want to welcome DJ. DJ, how are you tonight?
Good. That's the high energy. I got the laugh though.
You're scaring us, DJ.
I know. How you guys doing? Nick, Larry, thank you so much. Gary, great to meet you. I haven't met you yet, but Nick and Larry, had so much fun with you guys on my show, and now I'm here. I'm very excited to be here. I'm trying to bring the energy.
You're bringing it. We're really happy you're on our show.
And I feel like I have to curtail you here a little bit, because the first question we always ask is, give us something that you've been listening to or watching recently. And I feel like we could just spend the next 45 minutes going just there. So I'm going to limit you to two things, and then we'll talk a little bit more about other demos as we get into it. But two things that you can recommend for our good folks.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Morbius in 4K. It's been... A lot of people are talking very badly about it because of the movie. They don't like the movie, but as a home theater experience, between the sights, the sounds, everything, it's just a demo worthy disc from beginning to end. There's an echo effect in the middle of that movie. I don't want to give out any spoilers or anything like that, but something I'd never heard before used in any other movie. Really enjoyed that. And then as far as what else, is just I'm just really looking forward to Top Gun Maverick coming out on disc. I've seen it multiple times in the theater, and I just can't wait for that one. Really looking forward to that. So
obviously you're, I said community builder, and I'm curious how you got to that point. There must have been a starting point for you as far as your enjoyment of home theater. So I'm just curious about that journey. What initially got you interested in, and how have you ended up now as sort of this force to really grow this hobby?
Well, I started the podcast because I was looking for something where people would talk about the movies. So I was like, I wasn't hearing one. Everybody was talking about the gear and what new gear you needed, right? And I was listening to AV Rant, and I went to them because their title was Jurassic Park. And I was like, oh, they're going to talk about that. I'd never heard them before. And they talked about it for 2 seconds and then talked about gear. And I've been listening to them ever since, of course, because they're great. But I still was looking for something about the scenes and all the fun stuff that you have in your theater. Couldn't find one. So I was like, I'll start doing it. And then the response I was getting, it just evolved into this entire thing, like community thing, where now I'm talking to the listeners and stuff. And it's kind of just evolved that way. People just love to talk home theater, and we're all like looking for people in our lives to talk to without their eyes glazing over. And this is how you do it, I guess. So that's how I got to where I am now.
So you're clearly very passionate about this, and I'm just wondering, like, what is your goal with the podcast? Like, what are you ultimately trying to accomplish, by doing these broadcasts?
Just having fun with it, bringing out the passion side of it, the stuff that you do in your room. That's why it's called Brightside, right? You're on that side of the television or your display instead of being behind the gear. We do talk about that. I love to talk about that stuff. I love to be on the backside of my theater rack and pulling cables and stuff. And we talk about that, but it mostly focuses on the fun you have in your theater. And then I think I'm just going in the direction of talking to more and more people, fans, listeners that just really want to talk to somebody about this stuff. And the listeners are loving it. They're either telling me they're too shy to come on, but keep doing it, or they're just coming on and being like, I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm really nervous. And we're just having a ball with it. So
yeah,
I don't know where it's going.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that later, about you have listener takeovers, but I did want to ask first about one of your specific episodes. You did a whole hour on what is a great home theater experience, and you don't have an hour to answer that question, but boil that down to me in a salient, like 2-minute talking point. What is a great home theater experience from your perspective?
It's a great home theater experience. It's you. You're the person in the room. And all the people that I've talked to before I had a podcast and ever since, obviously, you're the one common denominator in that room, and you're the one that you can control. You'll never, ever get like the perfect room, right? There's always something to upgrade. You can throw all the money you want at your system, but you're always going to be looking around the corner at like, oh, I've got to get that piece there. And so it's you. Do you have the passion to make up for what you're perceiving as a shortcoming just to enjoy what you're having in your room, right? And that's what I'm finding as the common denominator. And that's what people, I think, are gravitating towards, and they like to listen to, like, all right, yeah, let's just talk about that good stuff.
So I know you're a gearhead too. You talk about the passion, you love, the experience part of it. But, when you're building a home theater, from your experience, what are the most important components that you should focus on, and what should you never skimp on?
Speakers. Great place to say that, right? But it really is. That's what I've been telling everybody for years. When I help people build a room, I'm like, it's your foundation is your speakers. And a good set of speakers will last you a long time. Your receivers, your cables, even your physical media, it all becomes obsolete someday, right? I got stacks of laser discs that I can't use anymore because I can use them. They just don't live up to quality wise. But my speakers, unfortunately, I know I'm on SVS, but I'm running NHT speakers because I bought them in like 94, 95, loved them. They're neutral sounding, much like SVS speakers. And I just can't justify spending that money to change to something, which I think would be a sideways step. So if you do that, if you get a good set of speakers, everything around your system will evolve around that. And then maybe someday you can upgrade from there, but to a different sound. But if you start off with a good set of speakers, you're good. And then from there, and this is kind of how I went, it's the next thing is your subwoofer. And that that's my SVS, and I've upgraded many subwoofers over the years, and I think the SVS one I have now is 2 of them I have, PB-2000s. They're that's the ones I've had the longest, and because I'm constantly looking for that sub 20 hertz, and I wanted to get that in my tiny little room, and I finally got it, and I have no need to move off from those, even though I really would like the pros, because I like to play with gadgets in my phone.
Well, I'm glad you brought the subwoofers up, because I know you've been a big advocate for, you know, demos that really emphasize and show the capabilities of a subwoofer. So I want to hear you articulate, you know, why do you think bass is important in home theater?
It's if you don't have it, if you're not getting as low as you can possibly get in your room, and you need a subwoofer to do that regardless of your room. Your room is going to dictate how low you get and how much you get to feel. But without a subwoofer, you're chopping off the bottom end of your dynamic range. So dynamic range is basically your lowest to your highest, whether we're talking picture and you're talking black levels and bright, or sound, you're talking subwoofers, and then your high frequencies. So all of our speakers can pretty much do, 20 kilohertz and above, but you want to get down below that. And then when you have a nice set of subwoofers in your room, it's good, and you tune everything properly, your high end is going to sound clearer and cleaner, and it's going to feel like you have much more dynamic range in your room. And I've said, like, subwoofers are kind of the foundation, because without that, all the other sounds are they're not compressed, but because you're missing that lower end frequency, you're not getting that full range that you really want to experience. Never mind the feel that you get down at that lower end. But it's just, if you've lived without them and then you go to them, you know the difference, and you're like, wow, I've been missing so much. And it feels weird, because it's only what, I don't know, Larry, how many hertz? You're going down from like 80, it's like 40 hertz, right? You're going from, or not, actually 60 hertz, from 80 to 20, but you have all those kilohertz above that you think that's all of it, but you're missing that 60 hertz. That's a lot.
Yeah, no, and I think when you're talking about emotional impact and like visceral feel and really enjoying, the immersive aspects of a home theater, that it's incomparable. You can't get that without a subwoofer. And I know you spend a lot of time talking about that with specific movies. And one of the things that I know you've done frequently on some of your broadcasts is talked about, these are the best, 4K demonstrations or 4K movies or demos of 2020, 2021. So I'm curious what goes into those ratings. How do you weight it? What do you look for in a soundtrack and the visuals? Like, what are your sort of criteria for judging?
Well, before he answers that, I want to frame up something, because I was actually going to ask something the same question, but in a slightly different way, because I think you hit a sweet spot with what you do, in the sense that there's either people that are all about, oh, this is an amazing movie and the acting is this, and there's here's the backstory, or it's a great demo. I don't care if the movie's totally stupid, but it's a great demo. And you hit a very cool sweet spot between the two. So I'm curious, I guess it kind of riffs along with Nick's question. What really drives your passion for the experiences? And is it more sided towards the demo, more sided towards the content? What makes you, how do you judge?
Well, it's funny you say that, because like Nick asking that question, the first thing I thought of is, like, when I do those, I'm doing them with, Jeff from HD Report and Ralph Potts from AVS Forum. We do those together, and the three of us round that out. Everything you were saying, Gary, it's like they bring in some of the technical stuff, they bring in some of the acting, and I bring in let's put all of that aside. How did you feel in your room? Were you looking around the room? Did this movie, was the sound that engaging that you didn't care how bad the movie is, right? It's like, I've reviewed some movie, like there's a movie called Hurricane Heist. I've told people about it. I said, look,
So dumb.
yes, what's that?
It's so dumb, but it sounds so good.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's everything we want out of Twister with the Atmos and everything. But it's so dumb. It's just, I mean, the story is dumb and everything. It really was like, hey, what can we do in a home theater or in a theater? And then we're going to shoot some scenes with the effects we've already planned out in our head. And that's the fun. So how do you not have fun with that? We have all of this gear. We spend all this time and energy researching everything. How can you not have fun with that and then appreciate the artwork that those sound designers did and everything like that? So it's like, that's how I come at everything. And I love talking to people. Like I've talked to Ralph a lot lately, Ralph Pott, and we go back and forth now because he likes to talk about the movie itself and how it was made and the acting and all this. And I'm like, yeah, but I just had a blast. And that's what's fun though. That's what makes everything really work. And people like it. I'm loving it.
Yeah, and that's part of the magic of a movie is being able to escape for 90 minutes or 2 hours, or now with all these epics coming out that are pushing 3 hours long, is sitting down for a movie and, you know, forgetting about everything that's going on in the world or having a smile on your face. Like when I saw Maverick, my wife didn't want to go, so I went the Saturday morning it came out, saw it in Dolby Cinema by myself, and I don't think I stopped smiling the entire time. No. And that's a fantastic movie. And then you go watch a movie that's not very good. You know, you brought up Morbius, so I haven't seen that yet. But you think of Tron, I enjoyed a lot because of the nostalgic aspects of, you know, when that movie came out. It was when I started watching the Ninja Turtles movie. Awful movie. Yeah.
I was going to bring that up, Larry. I was wondering if you were going to bring it up.
It's truly an awful movie, but it's fun. You know, I won't say awful. I enjoyed it, but it takes back to... The reason I enjoyed it is because it was fun. You could tell that the director, the sound engineer, the guys that did the CGI were all very passionate about what they were doing. You know, Rob Zombie just released earlier today the trailer for the new Monsters movie, and it looks like he shot it on a camcorder, but you can totally see the love in what he was doing there. And I think that's what really is magical about movies is sitting down, introducing somebody to it. And that's where we had fun on the podcast with DJ. We've gone on there twice. And I think we've just geeked out about movies. And I know a lot of you get to do that, and you'll come to our demos. And that's what we do in our home theater rooms is we just try to geek out and have fun with it.
Well, I got a giveaway to do, but I got a follow-up for you, DJ, and I'll let you answer the rest of that.
That was a great answer, DJ. I appreciate that. You really do hit the sweet spot. Yep.
So next item we have is a PB-2000 Pro Subwoofer, and the winner of that is Sean Reed. Congratulations, Sean. You got some bass coming your way. We'll get your info and get that shipped out. So, DJ, I wanted you to finish your thought, but if you could also answer, I mean, I know there's been a lot of, you guys have all talked about nostalgia, and there's been a lot of remasters recently, and I'm curious, you know, what your take is on how dramatically the audio-video quality actually is improved, and is it a different experience? And I will throw one example at you that you covered, Goonies. Like, you can't get much more nostalgic than Goonies, and I know you did a whole broadcast on the remaster of that. So just what's your take on all these? Are they worth it, you know, if you already own it? And you know, what are you really benefiting from?
All right, I don't know if you did this on purpose, but it's funny you mentioned Goonies because that was one of the ones I really didn't like that much. But it's a great comparison. So what happened with Goonies is, in my opinion, is they were like, everybody's going to love this. Like you said, Nick, we grew up with it. It's the nostalgia, and you kind of really don't care, right? But there's a scene in that it's such a bad pan, and I love pans. My listeners know pans, like anything that goes from left to right, back to front, all that. I love that stuff, right? So they're on, I think it's at about the 20-minute mark. They're on the porch. It's pouring rain, and there's a gutter off to the left side. And you can hear the rain off to the left side of you, or left or right. I think it's the right side. Sorry. And you can hear the rain over there, but then the camera changes angles, but that sound is still in the same spot. But now you're looking in the other direction. So it should be on the other side of the screen. No accuracy. And they don't have to do that, but that's stuff that I like and I appreciate when they do it. But now to go to a movie that talking about, I mean, this really gets into like nostalgia. Psycho. 1960. It's black and white. You'd think the HDR wouldn't be that. Who cares, right? Wrong. The black and white on it's amazing how good that looks. There's a scene when she's driving in the car when Marion, I think her name is. She's driving in the car in the nighttime. It starts in the day and it transitions to night, and you get to see all those colors transition. That looks nice. But the sound, it's actually in DTSX. They put Psycho in DTSX, and you're like, it's not over the top. It actually brings it out. And there's a part when she first gets to the hotel. It's pouring rain out, 27 minutes, 30 seconds, right? And she gets out of the car and her wipers are going in the pouring rain, and she walks across the porch. And as she walks down the porch, you can hear the wipers going further away on the right side of your room as she looks up to the hotel to the left side of your screen. So you're sitting in, but you can hear those wipers on high speed going, and you can feel them pan further away. That's in a movie from 1960 that they put in DTSX. You see the contrast there and what they did and didn't do with Goonies, and what they did do with a movie that I don't think anybody would have cared if they didn't do all that for Psycho, because we just.
But it was just renowned as like a masterpiece of cinema. So like the fact that they put that amount of detail into it, it would have been really disappointing if they didn't. Goonies, whatever. Like you said, we're gonna love it because we all have fond memories of watching it as children. Especially in our age demographic.
That's what I said.
If you mess with Psycho, that's like messing with a masterpiece, the Mona Lisa almost. Larry, what were you saying? You must have a thought on remasters, Larry. You must have a favorite disc that you've seen come out.
Looking back at all, if you go back and look at what they've done, just going from the original to Blu-ray, movies got better. But now going to 4K, you're going to see movies get cleaned up that were sitting in vaults for decades, and just seeing better quality. You can go back to the epics like Lawrence of Arabia, Spielberg movies, and whatever.
Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, Apocalypse Now, the redo was fantastic.
Yeah.
And knowing the technology that they can go in and recreate a soundtrack, even though it was recorded on like a 2-channel master, and you can take somebody that's really skilled, a sound design engineer, and go in and create a DTSX soundtrack from Psycho, which very much like Jaws is music inclined, and create an atmosphere and bring you in, is great. And I think that's been kind of the magic of advancement. The same thing with concerts. Going back and taking old concerts and putting those on disc has been something to really push the technology forward and the enjoyment. And I think one of the cooler aspects of it is most of us that are Gen Xers, you're 50 to 40-year-olds, whatever, and you got kids that are probably teenagers now. We're able to go back and introduce them to stuff that isn't VHS quality, because that's the way a lot of the movies that we grew up with had been. They had not done much to clean them up. And now
there's been a very controversial one recently that pertains to subwoofers that we were talking to right before we got on air here. And DJ, I know this. You revealed this one to Larry, which I was surprised he hadn't heard. But what's the controversial remaster? Not a classic, I would call it, but that sort of stirred up some ire amongst bass demo enthusiasts.
Yeah, Live, Die, Repeat.
Or Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat. Everybody, Edge of Tomorrow. And people, the reviews were coming out for it, and people were saying, reviewers like even Ralph, people like that, HD Report, all these people are coming out and saying that it was a good disc. The 4K was good. The sound was really good. But then people started to notice, oh, well, that opening scene, and it was a demo scene, it would literally vibrate your walls. If you didn't have everything tacked down, your pictures would fall off. And it was about 7 seconds worth at the beginning opening scene of the movie. And what they had done is they ran it, and they took out maybe the bottom 10 hertz or something. I don't know. I don't get into those details. I watched it early. I happened to have my stuff on a Kaleidoscape, so I had it months earlier. And I thought, everybody asked me about it, and I'm like, I think it's great. Sounds awesome. But then they got into this, and Todd Anderson, you guys know, over at, he did a whole entire thing of where he could break it down and analyze it. And he put that out, and he's like, yep, they're chopping it off. They did this. And everybody was like, well, that's it. I'm not buying it.
You know what I think happened? I think some of our competitors were having their drivers get blown out by people who were trying to crank that up, and then so they complain. No, I don't think so. I think I'm adding fire to the controversy that doesn't need to be there.
People were getting upset about it. Nick? People were getting upset about it, and they were going to lose out on the rest of the disc, which is fantastic. The Atmos on that is the height channels really adds to that movie. I had a listener text me about a helicopter scene, timestamp and everything. It's a great pan across the top of your room, all heightened by the Atmos. But people get hung up on those little details and not the entire experience. And believe me, your room still vibrates. You wouldn't know unless you A/B'd it right next to each other. The difference in the two.
Or if you didn't have a capable subwoofer, if you're running it with,
I mean, there is that to be fair.
Yeah.
Well, you need a capable subwoofer to know all this stuff.
Right.
Exactly. The one that recently, I picked up the Bourne collection. They released it on 4K a few weeks back, and it's just underwhelming. So I'm hoping I can get in there and play with it a little bit more. But to have all of them in one collection is awesome in 4K. But it was a little bit of a letdown. But
this is where DJ comes at it from a different place, because DJ's not just a slave to the demo, which I completely get that. I mean, a lot of from my place as a quote unquote hobby, which it's probably more of a passion than a hobby, but from my place, even with music, I'd rather have the best content. It's a sweet spot between the best content and maybe how it sounds, as opposed to 1,000% focused on some detail of how it sounds.
Yeah. So you did mention Dolby Atmos. I'm curious if you have a hot take on your favorite Dolby Atmos demo of all time, or maybe a top 3 if you can't narrow it down.
Well, I always go to Gravity, but that's so hard to get. It's the only place you can get that in Atmos on disc is that Diamond Lux edition, that tells you right there how popular and how good that Atmos is. It's selling for $250.
Yeah, I don't get why they haven't reissued that disc. That one doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I don't know. But what makes it great is that it's so quiet. So you really get to experience everything moving around your room. And the opening scene is amazing. You can't even see people, and then you just hear sounds, and then you're focusing in on the cameras coming in on the people. But one of the ones is Pacific Rim, that disc. Okay. That's a demo disc from beginning to end. I had
the original?
Yeah, from 2013.
Guillermo, baby.
I broke that movie down, and I didn't know what I was going to do, because I like to try and focus on scenes that have things maybe people didn't hear. But this thing is it's just one giant demo from beginning to end. But there is an awesome overhead experience it's literally at the 1 hour mark. So it's real simple to timestamp. Started at the 1 hour, and Idris Elba's sitting in a bunker room, and he's reprimanding two characters. The main two, Mako and Beckett or something, like whatever, but they're sitting there, but you hear this noise over your head and you're not even sure what it is. You're like, it just here, and it goes from right to left around your room. And then it isn't until later that a minute later, maybe 30 seconds later, you see a helicopter go by in the window in the background. And you're like, those noises were helicopters. Back it up. And now it's crystal clear. You're like, those are helicopters flying overhead that you can't see because they're outside this cement bunker. It's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, Guillermo del Toro is very much at the forefront when it comes to audio, whether it was Crimson Peak, his horror movie, or Pan's Labyrinth, or even some of the new stuff he's doing. It's all about the audio and the visual. And he's one of my favorite directors because of that.
So you've mentioned your Kaleidoscape. You also mentioned your stack of outdated laser discs. So I'm curious what your take on, the future of physical media. Like, where are we headed? Are we headed to an all digital world, or is there always going to be a place?
I think I hate to say it, I think physical media is going to go, it has to go away pretty much, because the files are getting so big. It's just getting so hard to put everything onto a disc. You look at Lord of the Rings, they can't even fit it on a disc, right? I know they're longer movies, but as we get higher quality, these shorter movies aren't going to fit on the disc. And to get better quality, you have to have larger files. So I think the constrictiveness of a physical disc is going to go away. And I think streaming is really where it's going to be. And they're just getting so much better at compression and uncompression on the other end and being able to download and all that. I think that's how we're going to be experiencing our stuff, all of our content in the future. I mean, you wouldn't have said that 10, 15 years ago, but now it's like, just look at it. It just seems like that is the logical step.
So would you view, what would you view as the biggest trend that you're excited about? Is it that, ability to have everything available streaming wise, or is there more hardware technology that you're, hearing buzz about that you're excited for?
I think for the future, I just think I love the idea, like what I do with my Kaleidoscape. I think more people like myself, like I like to bounce in and out. I'm sure Larry's the same way. You like to bounce in and out of different scenes, and having that ability, you could do it with an Apple TV. I can do it with a Kaleidoscape, and just being able to get more content faster. And I mean literally faster. Like I'm watching a movie and I can, a thought pops in my head and I go to that movie, bang, just like that. As opposed to back in the day when I go back to my laser discs and be like, I got to get up, put in a laser disc, flip it to the correct side the scene is on, and all that fun stuff. And I mean, even with a disc now, you got to get up and put the disc in. So,
and what if you don't have the disc? I mean, exactly. Sometimes we literally go down to the theater, my wife and I, and we'll be like, what do you want to watch? And we just kind of noodle around, find something, $5 to rent it. What the heck? What's not to like about that?
Or you spend 3 hours perusing Netflix and Amazon and HBO. And
well, you can do that too.
Yeah. I
mean, I know I'd love the ability to bookmark specific points in a movie or a demo to be able to just bring it up right away. And, it sounds like it's starting to happen, but it's not readily available on all the streaming services and everywhere else. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That is fun. But yeah, just the ability to bounce in and out and find more and more content is kind of what I'm excited about.
I think if streaming gets to the point where the audio quality is as good as disc, I think that will really kind of push the physical media further and further away. But I think if you even look at the comments here, so many people are saying that the disc sounds better than the stream, and that's just.
And they're right. They are right, but are they right enough to save discs? Probably not.
No, and you'll see. Going around to all the stores that I have been the last couple of weeks and markets that I haven't been in a while, I can see that they've gone through remodels, and the media section has gotten smaller.
So we owe a giveaway, and I had a couple closing questions for you, DJ, before we let you exit. But next giveaway was our SVS Prime wireless powered speaker system, and the winner of that is Daniel Sherfy. Congratulations, Daniel Sherfy.
Congrats.
You some speakers on your way. So before we let you go, DJ, I did want to ask, you do these things called listener takeovers on your podcast. What exactly is that all about? I mean, there's no more community building than a listener takeover.
Well, it started as just to add another day to the week, and I was getting enough comments and emails that I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do on Tuesdays. I'm like, what can I call it? And my daughter said Takeover Tuesdays, so that's what I do. Listeners Takeover on Tuesdays. It started as emails, and like I said, the home theater community is so passionate that I just get it was too much. Like, I try to hit on everybody. Now I'm sitting down for 2 hours and reading emails. I'm like, you know what? Let me try to do something and streamline it. I'll put it out to people to come on. I never thought it would be as popular as it is. I'm so excited. I thought I was going to get like maybe 4 or 5 people. I knew I had some listeners that would love to come on. And I thought it would just die out, and I'd be every week be like, all right, if you really want to come on, and then just go on with my show. Yeah. And I'm just getting requests after requests. I'm booking like a month in advance. Like, okay, this next one. And people are, like I said, people are nervous about it. But like I tell everybody, I'm like, it's like if I ran into you at Walmart and we just started talking home theater and everybody just started listening to us. It's just like with you guys, you just sit here and it's super easy to do. And listeners are coming on and they're just excited about it. And we just talk home theater, whatever they want to talk about.
I love that you do the home theater tours, and I love it even more that you feature SVS products once in a while from some of the owners. So
yeah.
Some goodness there. But it's like I said, you're just an amazing community builder. We totally appreciate you having on. Is there anything you want to tease before we let you go as far as your next broadcast, when it'll hit, or anything else like that?
My podcasts drop on Fridays, so I got one coming out tomorrow night. I got a new co-host joining me. This is the second week, and we're talking about Last Night in Soho. We break that down a little bit. Such a fun movie, great home theater experience, and it's a good movie as well, I believe. But the whole show is just, different other different experiences too, just like you guys were talking about earlier, things we're all watching as every week. And as far as where the future goes, the listeners will let me know, because I'm kind of just going like a river, going where the listeners want me to go, and just having fun with it.
Well, appreciate your time. Check him out at brightsidehometheater.com. He's also on Twitter at brightsidehT. So follow him there, get updates on when the next broadcasts are going to be live. And I'm sure Larry and I would love to join you for a future one here in the next couple months or so. Thank you, DJ. Appreciate your time, man.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Larry. Gary, very nice to meet you. I got to get you on. I want to get you more talkative and geeking out like me.
I will totally do that. I think this was really fun having you on. You have great insights, and so you invite me, I'm there.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Thanks, DJ. Awesome. Hey, a little bit more movie talk than normal. I know, Larry, you were that grin from start to finish. This is right in your wheelhouse here.
Well, he got me excited about movies a lot too. I thought it was great. And he hit, as I said, he hits the sweet spot between the content and the content, what it means, for lack of a better way of putting it, and then the quality of the experience, because it's all about how you feel.
Yeah.
No, and I love the
movie. Yeah, I think just looking at the comments, and you all know it whenever you see me do demos or when I talk about it. When we do the movie minute, trying to reel in and talk for less than 2 minutes about a movie isn't easy, because I am that geek. I like to sit down, put in the movie, and watch the movie, then all the special features. And I really love the cinematic experience. And not a ton of us do, but I think most of us on this broadcast probably do, based on the comments.
Well, everybody, I think everybody who, let me put it this way. I think 3/4 of humanity is passionate about some kind of content, whether it's movies, it could be music, gaming. I've used sports as an example too, because I think some certain sports are really amazing in an immersive thing. So if there's something you're passionate about, enjoy it in its best form. For me, it's more music than anything, but I love movies and I love streaming shows. And he brings this passion for movies. He makes me want to go, after the show and go watch go stream something, or I was actually going to go see if I think I have the Apocalypse Now remaster. I think I'm going to go down and watch it. So, he got me excited, and that's what this is all about, right?
Absolutely. And Larry, I realized I skipped the Larry's movie minute, so I don't want to put you on the spot if you're not ready, but better late than never. You got one?
Well, yeah, we've been talking about movies, but
you just wanted to flash your logo up there that you carefully
put
designed.
All that money and time into the thing.
Production value.
Tonight I think I'm going to change it up to where it's not really so much a movie. It's more of the series. And I know everybody's been watching Stranger Things, and I think to see their progression from where they started at season 1 with 5.1 to now we are all the way in multi-channel Dolby Atmos, and the experience when you sit down and watch something on a great streaming service now, where Apple TV Plus and Amazon and Netflix and other services have bumped up their game to make it better. And if you watch Stranger Things, the music is a huge part of it, but anytime they are in the upside down, it's very much like what he talked about earlier with going into space. And that's something that they do phenomenally well inside the Stranger Things universe, is when they go from the real world to the upside down, is how the atmosphere changes, and you really get sucked in because it gets quiet. And then I'm not going to spoil anything. The new things that show up and the way they integrate them into the sound, whether it's like I'm watching season 2 again right now in the little Demodog, and how that is introduced to Dustin in season 2. You just hear this kind of weird fluttering in a trash can and this noise, and it's off to the side and it's looking around for it. They've done a fantastic job of really putting you in that experience that, obviously isn't real world, but putting you in there, getting the surround experience from the music, the atmosphere, the dust you even hear now in the new season. And I think that is super cool for making it more immersive.
I also think it's so interesting how they've driven interest in Kate Bush music and Metallica music with just the tracks they've chosen. I don't think that's too much of a spoiler, but like you see that they're all like in the number, top 5 streams and everything.
Kate Bush set 3 world records last week.
They're incredibly smart about the music they choose for that show. I'm a music nerd, as you guys know, and I was around in those days listening to music, and even if it wasn't the music I would choose for my soundtrack, I totally get why they chose it for that soundtrack. It's really good.
One of the things I have to do a playlist soon too. I got an idea for one.
What kind of playlist, Lair?
Well, you're not caught up, so I'm not going to bring it up right now.
Don't do it. Don't. No, we can't do spoilers of Stranger Things, or I'll be very sad, because I've been savoring it.
Song, So I think that's what we do.
All right. Well, we're not going to do a lot of technical questions today. One, because we only have 5 minutes and we don't have Ed on. But Gary, I had an interesting question that I saw come in here, and I know you have a turntable and you have a very nice cartridge that goes with it too. So Jerome asks, does the turntable shape the sound of the speakers, and how much impact does the quality of your turntable and components within it actually have on the musical output?
I mean, that we could do a whole show on that. That has been kind of a journey for me, because when I started, I was, all you had was record players, really. You didn't even, nobody had a tape deck. That started coming with time, and everybody had a record player. It was just a normal thing to have one, and now we've evolved where we started understanding the nuances of it, and I have some really strong opinions about this. So I will say that you don't have to spend a ton of money on a record player, but I believe that the record player needs to check certain boxes of design strategy in order for it to be musical and for it to fulfill the promise of vinyl. And I'm not one of these people that thinks vinyl is necessarily better than a high-res file. I don't. Although I really enjoy vinyl, and I rebuilt. I have a Lynn Sondek turntable, which is a really high-end, wonderful turntable, and we just brought it up to the current spec. And I think if you can afford to spend the better part of $1,000 on a really good turntable, if you can, and I know not everyone can, you will get the benefits. It will be magic. So I don't know if that's very helpful. I mean, I could get into all the specifics, but that might be too granular, and B, not enough time.
No, I think we should find somebody who works for a turntable manufacturer, and we can have a proper conversation, as we did about movies today, and really dive into that. Maybe there'll be some interest.
Now, in the comments here, I'm seeing some a couple of my favorite brands that are relatively within reach, which are Rega, REGA. And you guys can go on their website. I have no affiliation with them at all. That was my first affordable turntable, though. My first affordable high-end turntable was a Rega, and then also Project. Those are two really good brands you probably won't go wrong with, and I have no horse in that race other than I agree with those commenters.
Well, here's a question I can answer from Harris Fogel, who I actually remember meeting at the Home Entertainment Show out in Long Beach. He asked, he has a AV receiver with a single sub output. How does he go duals? Well, we have a splitter on our website that will actually allow you to make 2 subwoofer outputs from a single. So there's a layup from Harris. Thank you for that one.
Nick answered a technical question with a slam dunk. That's a mic drop there.
And there's a product recommendation. Checked all the boxes.
Way to do it too. You could daisy chain from one of our subs to the other. And I see a bunch of people asking about this art behind me. I'm just in a hotel room, and it just happened to have an audio image because I'm in Austin, and they're all about South by Southwest and audio.
I wouldn't have guessed. All right, here's one from Brian, and Larry, you might be qualified to answer. Then this might be the last question. Why do different formats like Amazon Prime, Netflix mess up the delay of sound? It bugs him to no end, and he always has to adjust for the delay to max with lib. What do you know about this, and how can they fix it?
So I will tell you one big thing that takes care of that is HDMI 2.1. That was a huge issue for a lot of people, where there's audio sync issues. So a couple things to do: turn off your CEC, which is the control. I know it's kind of a pain because that's a big purpose of HDMI, but there's a sync issue that can occur there. Trying upgrading your cabling can assist with that too. And then there's some time delays inside your receiver that you can turn off and on as well. But
if you're streaming, I will give you the easiest one to try first. And this has worked for me probably half the time. Unplug your streamer, whichever one it is. For me, it's an Apple TV. Unplug it and plug it back in. Let it reboot. A lot of times, it's back in sync. Yeah. I have found half the time, not every time.
That is always the technical thing that every customer service agent in the world is trained to tell you first off the bat. Is
it really is true.
Unplug. But I will tell you, CEC is buggy. I see here, and it's something that's always caused issues. But HDMI 2.1. That was a big part of the fix. So if you have 2.1 devices, which our new cable is, it'll take care of some of that too.
Well, there you go. Good advice there. So next broadcast, before we get to our final giveaway.
Do we give our final giveaway? Yeah.
Yep, is Thursday, August 4th, coming up here in a few weeks. We'll be back live.
We'll have more time. We'll do more time with our lightning round of questions and answers. We promise.
Yep, we have a bunch saved here. Thanks to Eli working behind the scenes, pulling all the questions. I know we didn't get to a ton, but conversation was flowing. We'll save some of these questions for our next broadcast. Final giveaway of the evening is one of our award-winning SB-2000 Pro Subwoofers with SoundPath Subwoofer Cable. Winner of that is Derek Span. Congratulations, Derek Span.
Yay, Derek.
Congrats.
So, again, thank you to DJ from Brightside Home Theater Podcast for joining us tonight.
Thanks, DJ.
Again when we're back August 4th. Thank you, gentlemen, for your contributions as always, and happy listening to everyone out there in the world of SVS. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.